Everybody, video here for you today. This should have been the first video I've made on this. I've made two other videos of doing a franchise file that includes not only the free agents signed so far this year for teams, but then also the draft picks, and that gives you a combined file or franchise file that will be basically as close to what it will be in this actual coming up season. Now it's not going to be exactly, because the signed free agents in the file, you do have to play or simulate the whole first season. And so some of those free agents may not be on the teams. The teams may drop them because you don't set the other teams to full control yet, because that would be way too much work. So you want to keep those on autopilot. That's what that's called. But then you can become all the rest of the teams, and then that way you get to pull them from the players from a draft class file. So I'll show you how that goes. Maybe there we go. Let's see. So we want to do new. And I always go, whoops, didn't do the roster first. It would, if I created it there, it would use the default roster. And that's not what we want to use. And I don't know if they are the same community files through with PC and PlayStation and Xbox. I don't know if they are the same, but definitely on PC you can get my free agent file. It's called 2023 free, and that's all the free agent moves, all the transactions, right up to the day before the draft. And so you just load that, and you can edit them, do any last minute changes, make sure it's the right one. Yes, has Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell and Jake Fromm on the Commanders. And great way to tell is that Aaron Rodgers has been moved to the Jets in this file. So I will let you know that that's the file that is loaded into memory. So now when you create a franchise file, new league, and we want to use not the preseason roster, that's the regular roster, but we want to use the active roster. So that will import. All right, you pick your team. Mine is Washington Commanders. Start playing. And you can set it up the way you want to. You can do, you can play it week to week. You can play all the games in this first season, or you can just simulate it. So again, that is the one caveat with this is you won't get necessarily all the free agents that your team has signed plus all the draft picks. Although you could change that because you will be controlling all the teams, so you can make any trade you want to before you set all the other teams to autopilot. So you could fix that after the draft if you wanted to. All right, so what do we want to do? We want to advance to the regular season, because you don't import the draft file until week 2 or something like that of the regular season. So, okay, it's right. It's at week 1. Okay, so you can do any of this stuff. You can upgrade the players yourself. It'll do it automatically. If you don't, and then it'll just run by itself. It'll let the computer handle it all. So you just choose the draft class, and you want to either download from Madden Share, or if you've already downloaded, you can just import local file. And I believe, I used this one, which there were definitely some higher draft choices, a few of them. Like I think everybody was there from the first round, but there was 1 or 2 missing from the second round, and then there seemed to be a lot left over, like they were just placeholders. I'm not sure if they were actual people that were able to be drafted or not. But anyway, so you can check ahead of time if it's a good draft class or not. So, I didn't change. Yeah, when you start the franchise, you can set different parameters. Like you can create have it not do those pop ups. So we can look at CJ Stroud here. I don't think this is the one I used, because the one I used had Will Anderson first, Bryce Young second, and Stroud third, I believe. And Bryce Young still went first, and Stroud second, and Will Anderson actually in the draft that I did, or no, actually in the real draft, the Houston's traded up from 12 to a higher spot somewhere in here to get Will Anderson. So they got both of these guys. So fun times for them. Okay, scouts. So now we are here, and so then you can play any of the weeks you want to play. You can, if you care, if you don't want to just let it set the highest players at the position in the depth chart, you can change that. Although, like if you have injuries or you have to sign other people, that will screw up your depth chart. While if you're letting it play out by itself, letting it simulate by doing this. And so let's just sim to playoffs. So the problem doing this is, as well, I did this part ahead of time before the draft, so all this would have been done. And I did go week to week and make sure the depth chart was still accurate. Because, for example, in the Commanders, they're going to be having, unless Jacoby Brissett beats him out in preseason, Sam Howell is going to be the starter, and he is lower overall than Jacoby Brissett rated. So if there's any kind of automatic depth chart reset that happens, then Howell wouldn't be starting and gaining that experience anymore. I've never done this, so I don't know. It seems to be progressing fairly quickly. Let's see, I wrote notes, make sure I didn't forget anything. Create a master file. Play through or simulate the season. And you want to simulate the preseason, and then or play through the preseason and get to week 1, and that's where you import the draft class. Okay, so let's play a bracket, And as you can see, Dallas beat Washington in Week 18, which that didn't happen. Washington beat Dallas with all of their starters playing. I don't know. Let's see. What did they do? Commanders went 10-7, which is better than they did in. Are they in the playoffs with that record? Yes, they are. Yeah, yeah. And last season could have easily gone that way. Definitely, they tied once, which cost them. And if they won one other game, um, they could have been in the playoffs. But anyway, you can do. And if you don't like that, if you want to make it more to, if you want to make the picks more to where your particular team is to match that pick. You certainly can save throughout so that you know where you are in the creation of this, so you know where you are in the process. So like you could load one from week one and just re-import the draft class again, and then re-simulate if you want to, or even play a couple just to get enough wins, that kind of thing. Or simulate week to week, make sure you're getting enough losses, that kind of thing. But what I did was I tried to get it close, but then after the season, after the Super Bowl is over, that's when you take over all the other teams. And then I did trades so that the teams would be drafting in the correct order, and I just drafted along with the actual NFL draft. So let's see, where are we? Do we? No, we want to go ahead and advance and send to the Super Bowl. Wouldn't it be funny if Washington wins the whole thing? Probably won't. Probably lose in the first round. But you never know. Any given Sunday, right? All right. So let's see what happened in that playoff bracket. Yes, they lost in the first round to the Niners. Okay, yeah, very believable, of course. Okay, and so you can just advance to the off season. You can make sure you re-sign any of your, which is the next week. Again, you can look at any of the stuff. You can do any of the moves yourself. You can upgrade these players, take a look at them. Then you can just let it do itself. All right, and you can, players ready to negotiate. That's where you would re-sign any of the people that you wanted to keep. And obviously, they did re-sign Ron Payne, Danny Johnson, David Mayo. They re-signed all these guys. Jake Fromm was an addition, a third quarterback. Trent Scott was a free agent signing from last year, but very low rated on Madden, so I don't care if he gets released. So, but you would do all that. If you just send it, I don't think it will sign any of those. So that's the one thing you might want to make sure you do yourself. So we will go to our choices, some to draft. Nope, you can send right to draft. Nothing that you have to do before that. I don't think, is there? No. Okay. At various points during the season and the off season, as you can see, it does at least 2 different mock drafts during the off season. And we'll take a quick look at that before we go to the next step. If we scout college players, and it's in there, mock drafts. So let's go to the last mock draft, and as you can see, Titans actually are. No, this is just the mock draft. So this is basically the best player, and they assumed that it was Paris Johnson from the Ohio State University, and he was, I believe, the first lineman taken. I think. Smith and Jigba went high as well. I don't know why the quarterbacks dropped in this. They did not in the one that I did. Where's Bryce Young? Oh, right there. Okay. But, and this is, of course, the mock. This is not necessarily how it will go in the real life, especially when you choose who people are drafting, which you would, if you wanted it to be exactly like real life, you would just follow that draft order, and that keeps you from having to create all these players, which somebody will do that eventually. It just depends on how soon that they will get that done, and that should be in community files, I would imagine, on each platform, if they are not cross-platform community files, which I still do not know. For years now, I don't know if that's the case or not, if they're all the same or what. Okay, so before you start the draft, you want to go to, all right. So definitely when you set up when you first create the franchise, change it to settings, off, where is that? There we go, tutorial pop-ups, change that to off, and then that won't happen. And you can make it auto progress players, auto progress your talents, unless you want to set them yourself and decide where to put the points first. And if you do leave fill roster on, that means it will automatically replace any players that get hurt, get injured. So you could take a look and make sure there's nothing final you want to do before the draft to your roster. Nope, so we're all good. So now it's time to take over all the rest of the team. So I'm just going to do 1 or 2. You click, in this case, Xbox controller, you click Y for new character, and then you go to whichever team. You're going to do this with all of them. Select that, and do start playing. And down the line, options, user team, new character. We have that one. You can see my username on EA, Throwcat there, and taking over the champs here. And so this way you are, and so when you make those trades, you can do whatever you want to as far as to make it work. You can trade a 7th round for a 1st round, and it will let you do it because you are in control of all the teams that will automatically get approved. Whoops, no, not quit. We want to go back. And then to switch to So you do that for every single team. So you have all 32 teams, and then you switch to your character, your original team, and that's when you would start the draft. And I'm not going to do it. I don't think I am. We'll see. We'll see. But you would start the draft, and then you have to change every time, unfortunately. So it is time consuming. Hopefully, not as consuming as creating like 8 rounds worth of with the compensatory selections. It's like 8 rounds worth times 32 teams. Uh, so that is a lot of players to create. So hopefully, this is still a time saver. I can't remember what was going out there. That's not what we're going to do again. We don't want to. So you would start the draft, and you switch to whoever has the first pick, and you make that pick. Now, if you don't, you can now that the draft is completely over. What you can do instead of making all those trades, you can just pick the guy that they picked. So, say for example, Washington has the first pick, which they don't in this situation. But it's like if just in case they did, Washington did the pick, you could in the first for the first pick of the draft. Instead of picking who got picked first, you could just pick whoever Washington picked, and you could do the whole draft like that. So you don't have to do that step of making sure that that everybody has the first number of the correct slot in the drafting order. And I only did that in the first and second rounds anyway. And then I thought, well, after that, I can just wait until the next team up draft someone, and then I can do that that pick and go on like that. And that way, every team has the right one. As I said, there were a few guys missing from, I think, the second round that got drafted that weren't in the draft class that I used. But you can always fix that later by picking somebody in free agency that's close, that you don't care about, and you can change their name to the name of the player that is missing from the draft class. Okay, so once all that's over, and after the draft, you can all the undrafted players get put in the free agent pile. I don't know that the free agent pool can be big enough to include all of the draftees. Which, well, there's no way to get out of. There's no way to get out of drafting or not drafting. You would either have to simulate the draft, uh, or go through and do all the picks yourself. So there's no way to get past that point. So you would have to do one or the other. But once you are done with the draft, then you would go to the next step, which is basically the preseason games. And so at that point, you can also sim through the preseason games, maintaining control of the other teams, or you can go ahead and release it. But whether you do it at the start in week 1, prior to the first regular season game, or if you want to do it right after the draft is over, whenever you want to do it is fine, as long as you do it after you're done making sure all the players that you care about being on whatever team are on whatever team. So once that's done, then you would go to options, user teams, and you would highlight the team and click, in this case, A for actions. and then toggle autopilot and set it to unlimited. You can set it to number of weeks for how long to keep it on, but basically you're not going to be taking over the other teams for any reason anymore. And so you can just set that to unlimited like that. Oh, and because I did it before the draft was over, it's it's simulating the draft. So definitely don't do it before the draft. This is why you gotta wait till after the draft. So once again, that is options, user, teams. And again, you leave your team in the off position, but you change the other one to toggle autopilot and unlimited. And you do that for all the other 31 teams except for the one that you want to control. And I always do that, always accidentally hit B to go back instead of move this back over here, which is what I actually want to do. So, and you can do the draft recap. Let's just see who they got just for fun. Skoronsky, great pick. I don't know how they managed that because he got picked much sooner in the actual draft and in most other drafts that I've seen of this. No second and third round pick for them for some reason. Must have traded it. All right, nothing very exciting except Skoronsky would be a good offensive lineman to have. Banks, cornerback, they did go corner, and a free safety that can also play corner in the first and second rounds. Speaking about Washington specifically, they still have a bunch of cap room. Which is the case until they have to start re-signing Chase Young and all the other players that get really good, that upgrade a lot. But that is how you do it. So from here, you're only controlling your team again because you've set all the other teams to back to autopilot. So you basically play it just like you would any other franchise in which you don't try to do this. But this gives you a roster again that has all the free agents except for the ones that got released by the being computer controlled when you just advance through that. But again, you can fix that. You can put those players back on those teams if there's any actual players that you want to be on their real teams. You can make that happen before you give up control of the other teams. So just make sure you get it the way you want to before you do that. And that's it. If you have any other questions or comments, you could put it in the comments or email me, Coach Steve Money at gmail.com. And I am a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach, and you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation / assessment with me at Calendly. That's calendar. Instead of the AR at the end, there's a LY. Calendly.com / Coach Steve Money. If you can't find that, you can just email me, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. But calendly.com / Coach Steve Money, and you can set up that free financial coaching consultation assessment with me if you got money problems or you just want to make sure you're on the right track. Never hurts to have an outside person take a look. Let's see, you can add me on Gram at Coach Steve Money. And donations go to paypal.me. That's like me. So there's M and E, paypal.me / Coach Steve Money. Of course, this YouTube channel is youtube.com / Coach Steve Money. Thank you so much for watching. Again, any questions or comments, you can put right in the comments. Thanks for watching.